What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend, and as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. February is already off to a much better start than January was. Beyoncé is an Album of the Year recipient, Lady Gaga is weird again, and things are just looking up, at least in the pop culture space. You know, if that's all I can hang on to right now, that'll be enough to get me through. Things are looking up, thank God. We have so much to discuss this week. Obviously, the elephant in the room being the Grammys, Lady Gaga's return to this pop, dark music, whatever you want to call it. I am overwhelmed in the best way possible. And I am so excited to be recording. I've gotten so many DMs and comments and messages of people being like, I cannot wait for this week's episode. So the pressure is on and we are going to dive right in and just get this party started because otherwise we will be here for 3.5 hours. And I don't have that kind of time tonight. So that being said, let's kick things off with our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week and our new music releases coming up this week because we have very exciting releases on both ends. First things first, our releases from last week. Lady Gaga is so back and I could not be happier. My paws have never been higher in my life. She dropped Abracadabra during the Grammys, a full music video. We talked about it last week that it was coming. We knew there was going to be a song, but we didn't know the exact magnitude. If you would have told me that Lady Gaga was going to drop an entire music video during the Grammys, I would have been like, no, she's not. But alas, that's exactly what she did. And when I tell you my jaw was on the floor for the entire duration of that music video, I was gagged. I was gooped. It is unbelievable. This is what it felt like. If anybody listening is young enough to not have experienced the Fame Monster coming out and Born This Way, like that album rollout, this is what it felt like. This crazy concept, these music videos that are just like Lady Gaga dancing in a room, being fucking weird with a killer track behind her. Like, we are so back. I am obsessed with this song. And we are now 2 for 2 as far as singles for Mayhem with Disease and Abracadabra. And this album is going to be a shift for me. I know it. And I am so excited. I think the visuals, the music video is phenomenal. It is just so good. It is going to go crazy at 3 a.m. at gay music video night. Like, it is going to go nuts. My boyfriend Thomas and I have already watched it so many times. Like, it's already a staple in this household. And my God, we are so lucky to be living through this LG7 era. Also need to give another shout out to her fiance, Michael, because he is the reason we are getting a pop album again. So everybody say it with me. Thank you, Michael. Also to note, the choreographer for this music video is the same choreographer who did the Rihanna Super Bowl, who did the Sweet Honey Buckin breakdown at the Beyoncé Bowl, Paris Goebel. She is the founder of so many dance crews, but most notably, I would say the Royal Family, which I'm obsessed with. I feel like I don't talk about a lot. Like, I have a fascination with choreography and dancing. I could sit and watch dance videos forever. So choreo is something I'm always looking at. And when I saw that she was the choreographer, I was like, oh, bitch, no wonder it's a fucking slay. She is phenomenal. If you're unfamiliar with her work, you're not. You definitely know a lot more than just the 2 things that I've named. She is phenomenal. And if you ever are looking for like a fun dance compilation to watch, just look up the Royal Family on YouTube if you haven't seen them yet. They're unbelievable. When I found out it was Paris, I was like, yep, of course it is. Just like no notes across the board. Everything is fabulous. Honey Balenciaga is in the music video, which was so gaggy. Like, it is just, she's giving us what we want and what we've been asking for so long, and I could not be happier. Next up, we had a release that I did not expect. Nobody expected it, but Doechii, and she is going to be a big topic during this week's episode, but Doechii has released Nosebleeds, a freestyle that she dropped after winning her Grammy over the weekend, and it's so good. It just has that like authentic hip-hop mixtape vibe to it. She's talking her shit. She's celebrating her Grammy win. And I said it on my episode at the end of 2024. I was like, keep your eyes on Doechii this year. She's going to be the one to watch. And we are exactly a month and 5 days into 2024, and she is already proving the fact that she's going to be the one to watch this year. And I can't wait to see what other doors open for her this year, the performances we're going to get. Like, I know she's going to deliver us such premium content and music and performances this year. And I just cannot wait. We will talk all about her Grammy performance later on in the main point of the show. So stick around for that. But my God, She is already feeding us, and I could not be happier. So those are our releases from last week. Huge ones, though, like very major releases to be chatting about. I was thrilled to press record today. And then we have some exciting ones coming up this week. And I usually don't do this. I usually don't go a week ahead, but we got a very exciting announcement today from Miss Sabrina Carpenter. So we will chat about that in just a moment. But coming up this Friday, we have Born Again, which is Lisa, Ray, and Doja Cat that are dropping on Thursday. Very excited for that. I mean, this trio is just giving a little bit of everything. We have like Lisa with the K-pop, we have Ray with the crazy vocals, and we're going to get Doja Cat with like a crazy verse. I just feel like there's going to be a lot going on in this song, and I'm very excited for it. I was a huge Blackpink fan back when they were like together and touring, and I've been really into the avenues that really Rose and Lisa have been going down with their solo music. So I'm very excited for this track. And I feel like it's been a minute since we got a track from Doja. So I'm really excited to see what's in store for that. And then we also, literally, this just got announced like an hour ago. So I was like, oop, let me add this to the outline. We have Toot It Up, Cardi B, and Partisan Fontaine dropping on Friday. So we will see what's in store for that. Again, I feel like we haven't gotten a Cardi track in a while. So very excited to see this kind of return for her. I thought she was so funny at the Grammys. We'll talk about her again later. But yeah, very excited for these releases coming up. And then those are both this week. Next week, we'll talk about it again. But Sabrina Carpenter is celebrating her Grammy wins by dropping Short and Sweet Deluxe, which is so exciting. We'll have 5 new tracks, one which we know already, and one that is a Please, Please, Please remix featuring Dolly Parton. I mean, come on. I cannot wait. I am so excited to hear Dolly Parton and Sabrina Carpenter on the same track together. It's going to be unreal. And like I said, there is one song that we know, Busy Woman. So that was a bonus song when she did those like digital exclusives when the album was rolling out. But every other song that she's releasing is going to be either this remix with Dolly or a new song. So I'm very excited for that. That drops on Valentine's Day, which again, just goes to show how perfectly planned she is with everything. Like, it just makes sense that Sabrina Carpenter's dropping an album on Valentine's Day. She's so like lovey-dovey, the cover with the kiss, it just fits the aesthetic perfectly. And like, her and her team are just on it. They kill it every single time. So I'm so excited for that. But again, we'll talk about that when it comes out in a few weeks. And those are our new releases from last week and what's coming up this week. Very exciting. Like I said last week, it kind of felt like a lot of people were holding off for releases and announcements until everything with the fires kind of died down, which obviously 100% understand. But now we're going to get things non-stop, I feel like, and we are finally just like diving into the pop culture world of 2025, and I'm very excited for whatever else is in store. But like I said, that wraps up our music releases. So let's move into some moments from the week that were just too pop to handle, some pop culture rapid fire. But before we get into that, I just wanted to remind you guys that if any point during this show, while you're listening, if you like what you're hearing, don't be shy. Leave me a 5-star rating, leave me a review. It really is the best way to support the podcast, and it just helps with the algorithm, and it helps you recommend me to other people, and it just helps the show grow. So if at any point during this show you feel yourself like clapping for me or agreeing with what I'm saying, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating because it really helps, and I would really appreciate it. And with that, let's get into our pop culture moments that were just too pop to handle. First things first, I need to take back what I said about Karla Sofia Gascon last week because I did not realize she was Caitlyn Jenner 2.0. I was like so excited, and this is like shame on me. I should have done more research, but actually this stuff didn't come out until after my episode. But I thought it was like so exciting. We had some trans representation, the first trans woman to get nominated for an Oscar, like so exciting, only to find out that she is literally just like Caitlyn Jenner, just like not with the community, full of hate, just like not a good person. This honestly was really upsetting. So if you did not see, she gave an interview last week and she was kind of bashing one of the actresses from another movie that is nominated for the Oscars, which is literally against the rules of an Oscar nomination. Like you can't talk bad or like negatively about another project because it's a campaign, it's foul play. You just don't do it. So that kind of sparked some investigations, I guess you can call it, and people started diving into her Twitter and they found a lot of shit. So there were from some tweets from 2019 to 2022 that were transphobic, racist, Islamophobic, about George Floyd, stuff about the COVID vaccine. She was saying that like, oh, the COVID vaccine comes with a side of egg rolls, just very distasteful things. She made a comment about Miley Cyrus being a lesbian, which, like, you're a trans woman. Why do you care if somebody's a lesbian? Just like really wild and nasty things for somebody to be tweeting. And like, it just sucks when we get trans representation finally in the media, because it really is far and few, and they turn out to just like not be a good person. It stings a little worse. You know what I mean? So she released a statement as people were finding these tweets, and she said, "I am a human being who also made, makes, and will make mistakes from which I will learn. I am not perfect." Then people found more tweets. Like, it was literally like a nonstop flow of hatred from this account, which is just like one or two tweets isn't even okay, but like, it's like, okay, make your apology, whatever. But she was just coming for everyone. I mean, I just said racist, transphobic, homophobic, things about the COVID vaccine being like a Chinese thing. It was just like all of the stereotypical racist shit that was going on during COVID, she was diving into as well. So just like, not good. So as these tweets kept coming out, she puts out a statement. She deletes her account and says, "I'm sorry, but I can no longer allow this campaign of hate and misinformation to affect me and my family. So at their request, I am closing my account on X. I have been threatened with death, insulted, abused, and harassed to the point of exhaustion. I have a wonderful daughter to protect who I love madly and who supports me in everything." And like, on one hand, of course, it is not okay to send hate to anyone. People do get a little crazy. They get a little rowdy on Twitter. They get it definitely, there's a line, but it's just like, at what point is it past the point of apologizing? You know what I mean? Like, you've said so many things that have affected so many different people that it's not even like you were targeting one group of people or one specific event, which even if it was just tweeting about one thing, totally not okay. But like, you were just going for everybody's neck for years. These were 3 or 4 years worth of tweets that people dug up about you. What, like, did you think nobody was going to find that? Did you think did you think this was never going to happen? It's just, I don't understand people who think this way, because just like, so fucking twisted and dark-sided and evil. But I just also don't understand, like, why did her PR team not think to scrub her Twitter when she started getting all of this campaigning and press moments for Amelia Perez? Like, obviously it doesn't make the tweets okay, and I'm not like condoning awful tweets like that, but like, if you're on a PR team and you are not thinking, oh, let me just go double check this Twitter, search some keywords, who is her PR team? Is there one? Like, it just feels, I don't know, it's fucking messy, and I'm not about it. So I take back my compliment for her cool name last week, and I am very disappointed that this is the first trans woman getting an Oscar nomination, because there are so many other fabulous, beautiful trans people out there who deserve this recognition over her. Netflix is actually no longer discussing any of this with her. They are cutting off communication, and any flights or invites or anything like that she wants to events, they are not supplying anymore. So obviously Netflix is the one who produced this movie and put it out. So they are flying her to these galas and to these luncheons or whatever, which she's actually no longer campaigning this whole week. This is like a huge week to go campaigning for the Oscars. She had like a luncheon, the Critics' Choice Awards, the Director Guild Awards, the Producers Guild Awards, like major things going on. She's not even coming to LA anymore, apparently. She is just like done. She's not campaigning, which it makes sense. But Netflix is also just not engaging with her anymore, which I think is a smart thing to do, especially when it's this level of hatred. It's just like, I'm glad they are kind of standing their ground and like not letting this, even though it is the most Oscar nominated movie of the year, they're not bowing down and being like, well, it was in the past. Like, no, stand on your ground. Thank you so much, Netflix, for not, fucking it up this time. We really appreciate that. And yeah, that is what's going on with Karla Sofia Gascon, trash human being. But all of that being said, let's move on to the next moment of the week that we're just too popped to handle. The MetGala dress code is officially here, and I am very excited for this theme. So a few months ago, I did talk about it on the show, but if anyone's new or you forget, they announced that the theme of the exhibit is going to be super fine, tailoring Black style, which will explore the role of sartorial style in forming Black identities, focusing on the emergent significance and proliferation of the Black dandy. So that's the theme of the exhibit. It's also inspired by guest curator Monica L. Miller's 2009 books, Slave to Fashion, Black Dandyism and Styling of Black Diasporic Identity. And that was announced a few months ago. They did a whole video about, what to expect in the exhibit. And essentially it's menswear. So think suits, think tuxedos. And when they announced that, there was a lot of controversy over what the dress code was going to be. They were like, is Anna Wintour really going to ask all of these people to come dressed in tuxedos? And it appears that she's leaving it up for interpretation. So as of today, they announced that the dress code is called Tailored for You. And as the Met says, the dress code is a nod to the exhibit's focus on menswear and is purposefully designed to provide guidance and invite creative interpretation. So I feel like that's kind of them saying we're leaning towards menswear. That's the goal, but is open to interpretation, which people interpret the Met dress code every year anyway. They kind of do whatever they want because it's the Met Gala and they just want to serve a look on the carpet. So it is what it is. But I do think this opens a really cool door for some interesting looks this year. It's always, we get these gowns and these avant-garde, these cool dresses and gowns or whatever. And I love that. But I do think this kind of challenges some of these people to really step back and do something different. Do a tuxedo with a really long train behind it that goes down the whole carpet. I want structured shoulders or structured hips. And when I was reading this dress code, I immediately thought of Doechii and her Grammy look from over the weekend. And lo and behold, who was on the hosting committee but Doechii herself? I am already drooling over whatever Doechii is going to wear because I know she is going to nail this. So this is also the first time that the exhibit is focusing on menswear since 2003, which they did a whole exhibit on men in skirts. So this really opens up the door for a whole plethora of new looks on the carpet that we haven't seen in 22 years. 22 years. It's been a minute since menswear was kind of the focus on the dress code. And I'm excited to see what's new, what people do and how they kind of interpret this to be their own. The honorary chair of the night is going to be LeBron James, with the co-chairs being Coleman Domingo, Lewis Hamilton, A$AP Rocky, Pharrell Williams, and of course, Anna Wintour. And reading all of these names, it just makes sense for this year's theme. I saw a tweet, and it was Coleman Domingo is going to Coleman Domingo more than he ever has before. Very excited to see what he wears. Lewis Hamilton, I feel though he is an F1 driver, he does kind of have his foot in fashion. He kind of always shows up turning a look. So very excited for that. Obviously, A$AP Rocky is always stepping out in some type of look. Pharrell also, I hope Pharrell wears a fun hat. I feel that's kind of his thing. So we will see what he does there. But regardless, I'm very excited for these co-chairs. And then just looking at the list of the host committee, there's a lot more than this, but just the ones that I pulled, it is stacked. We have Andre 3000, Simone Biles, Doechii, Iowa Debris, Tyla, Usher, Janelle Monáe, Sha'Carri Richardson, Spike Lee, Audra McDonald. The list goes on, and all of these people, they're going to turn a look when they show up to the Met Gala for this theme, and I am so excited to see what they have in store. I mean, like I said, Doechii, Janelle Monáe, I feel she's going to pull a crazy look because she's always kind of doing a gender fluid kind of vibe, and she does identify as non-binary, so she's not afraid to kind of push that limit, so they were actually the first two people that came to my mind when I read the dress code. And then when they were on the hosting committee, I was like, you still got it, dude. You are sharp as a tack. But yeah, I'm just thinking, structured shoulders or structured hips on a tuxedo. Do something cool, like a long jacket. Even Beyoncé, if you think the Ape Shit music video, she had that I don't know if it was satin, but it was that flowy kind of suit vibe that she had when they were at the Louvre. I'm thinking there's just so many opportunities for people to do something really unique and different. And I hope they do. I hope they stick to this menswear vibe, but still kind of make it their own. So I'm very excited for that. I feel the first Monday in May will be here before we even know it. So very excited for whatever the Met Gala has in store this year. And moving on to our final moment from the week that was just too pop to handle, the perfect segue from this moment into the Grammys recap. Beyoncé is going on tour. My God. And now, of course, we knew that there was a pending Beyoncé announcement at some point from the January 14th date that we got during the halftime show on Christmas, and then it got pushed due to the LA fire. So we knew there was something coming. We didn't know when or what. A tour was the most rumored thing going around, and it made the most sense, but we didn't know when it was coming. So imagine my surprise when I walk out of the club at 1:30 in the morning on Sunday morning, open my phone, and see that Beyoncé has announced the Cowboy Carter tour. I was gagged. We got in the back of the Uber. My boyfriend was like, do not scream right now. Do not scream. Keep it in. You'll be okay. And I was not okay, but we made it. I made it home. I didn't freak out, but holy shit, we're going on tour. Get your cowboy hats. This is going to be so incredible, and even more incredible now that Cowboy Carter is the album of the year, but hold that thought, we'll get to that in just a moment. So the tour is the Cowboy Carter and the Rodeo Chitlin Circuit Tour. She is just killing it with everything she is doing with this history lesson with Cowboy Carter and everything related to it. So if you don't know what the Chitlin Circuit is, they were a collection of venues that included nightclubs, juke joints, restaurants, and theaters, and they were a place for African-American entertainers to perform and gain recognition in the 20s to the 60s. Artists like Sam Cooke, Aretha Franklin, Billie Holiday, B.B. King, Otis Redding, Ray Charles, and James Brown, just to name a few. I mean, big, huge African-American artists performing at these venues. The venues that were a part of the Chitlin Circuit is the Apollo Theater in Harlem, the Victory Grill in Austin, Texas, the Royal Peacock in Atlanta, the Royal Theater in Baltimore, the Regal Theater in Chicago, the Paradise Theater in Detroit, and the Howard and Lincoln Theaters in Washington, D.C. And we're seeing a lot of these cities where these Chitlin Circuit venues reflected in the tour. So she announced the tour, and that was kind of it. And then on Sunday night, Monday morning after the Grammys, she posted another poster with all of the cities on it. And the cities included LA, Chicago, New York, London, Paris, Houston, Atlanta, DC, and Las Vegas. So a lot of those are on that Chitlin Circuit list. And then of course she did add a few extra dates because she can't just stick to this list. She's got to go see the people overseas. She added LA, Vegas. Something to note though, Las Vegas is the only strip of dates that are not announced yet. And I'm kind of getting the vibe that we're going to get either a Sphere residency or like there's going to be a second leg or something. I don't know what's to come, but it is very weird. There's been this like rumor that she's going to be doing a Sphere residency really since Renaissance, I feel like. And I feel like this is now the perfect time for her to like add a Vegas residency and do like maybe a 7-day engagement at the Sphere or like a 10-show engagement or something. Like just do something special at the Sphere. And maybe that's why it's not announced yet. It's just very weird that Vegas is the one that's not announced when Vegas has been like kind of it's been like a cloud over Beyoncé for the past few years because they've been in a lot of negotiations allegedly over her performing at the Sphere. So it just feels like this makes sense. And especially like with Vegas not being on the original Chitlin Circuit like list of venues, it would make sense to like treat Vegas as its own thing and do something different. So if that's the case, guess I'm going to Vegas because I know that's going to be unbelievable. So the tour kicks off on April 28th in Los Angeles. She does 4 shows in LA, 2 shows in Chicago, 4 shows in New Jersey, which act as the New York shows, 4 shows in London, 2 shows in Paris, 2 shows in Houston, and 4 shows in DC. The first of which being on 4th of July and Beyoncé performing Cowboy Carter in Washington, D.C. on the 4th of July is the pettiest thing she could have done, and I'm obsessed. I love the way her mind thinks because this was intentional. Beyoncé doesn't eat breakfast without having an intention behind it, and the fact that she is performing in our nation's capital, in the current political climate of the world, performing this album that is so American and patriotic forward to what the roots of our country really stood for, that unfortunately isn't the case at the moment. The fact that she's performing this tour on the 4th of July in DC just brings me so much joy and is why Beyoncé is the artist of our generation. Tickets go on sale next week. There's a handful of pre-sales. I'm not going to list them all. Just go to her website, go to Ticketmaster, and there's a plethora of pre-sales to pick from. And yeah, if anybody is looking to save some coin, maybe you don't get any tickets for the pre-sale and you have to buy a resale on SeatGeek, use code 2POP2HANDLE at checkout and you can save $20 off your first order. So go see Beyoncé, save a little coin. It would be my greatest honor to know that somebody used my code to buy Cowboy Carter tour tickets and save a little bit of money on those tickets. So head over to SeatGeek, get your tickets, and get your cowboy hats ready, girls. We are going on tour. Oh my God, I'm so fucking excited for this show. All of that being said, moving into the main points of the show, and like I said, Beyoncé really was the star of the night, the 2025 Grammys. And now I have been talking about the 2025 Grammys for what feels like, well, it's been a year because I've been talking about it since 2024. That's how a calendar works. But we knew it was going to be stacked because of the amount of music that we got in 2023 and 2024. Like it was just going to be an insane year for nominations. And we weren't sure if there was going to be a sweep or if it was going to be, kind of spread out. And we are seeing this theme this year so far with the award shows that there hasn't really been a clear sweep yet. Like there's been kind of a little bit, there's been like buckets for everybody, which it really has been making this award show season a lot more enjoyable for me, at least, because you get to see everybody celebrate. And I'd hate to be like the kumbaya, oh, everybody wins, but like when the caliber of music and just content in general has been so high over the last year and a half, like this is what we want. Like we want a fair, a fair distribution of the awards and not a clean sweep, because that's no fun when the music has been this good. So let's get into the award show, because I have a lot to say. Overall, I think it was really a fabulous night. I think it was one of the best Grammy Awards we have had in years. I thought Trevor Noah did a great job hosting. I love the fact that he wasn't afraid to kind of like push the envelope with all the political climate jokes. Like he was really going for it without going for it too far. Like you knew where he stood and what he was talking about, but I don't think he did it to a point where it was like stepping over a boundary. I also thought they did a fabulous and a beautiful job honoring LA. We didn't even know if the Grammys were going to happen because of all the fires in LA, and to see all of the firefighters on stage and to see all of the money that was donated and all the tributes, like I'm sure most of those performances, like an example we'll talk about in a bit, but Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, I'm sure they weren't planning to not perform Die With A Smile, one of the biggest songs of last year, but with all this devastation, like it made sense for them to switch it up and do a tribute to California. And it really showed how much all these artists came together to really just remind us of what LA has given us in the music world, in the entertainment world. I mean, it's Hollywood. It's where everyone goes to chase their dreams to be a movie star, whatever it may be. And I thought they did a beautiful job paying tribute to LA. It was really, really, really well done. I will say, during the opening song, and I know I'm not the only one who thought this, all I could think about was Kris Jenner's 60th birthday video, which I know I said I'm over the Kardashians, I'm not into them, and I'm not. But we all remember the 60th birthday video that they did for Kris Jenner. Like, it was iconic. She loves her friends. We all know what I'm talking about. And when they were singing that song in the opening part, I was like, Where's Chloe? Where's Kim? Like, this is not the version I know, but I just thought it was really funny. And then I saw so many TikToks about it. I was like, thank God I'm not the only one with a rotted brain, because that's the first thing I thought when that happened. So how we're going to do this, I'm going to run through all of the awards and then we'll go through the performances. We might reference, here and there, but general consensus, we're going to go through all the awards. I'll talk about, moments from the night as they kind of intertwine with the awards, and then we'll chat about the performances after. Okay, let's get into it. Kicking it off so incredibly strong with Best New Artist going to Chappell Roan. If you've been listening to this show for any amount of time, you know that I have been a Chappell fan for so long now. In 2023, she was on my top 5 albums of the year, and I knew 2024 was going to be her year, and God, that it was. So to see her win this award, it was just so exciting and such like a testament to the incredible year that she just had. I will say, I did originally want it to go to Doechii, and I thought Chappell would win Record of the Year, but everybody got their flowers, so you know what? It is what it is. Doesn't matter what award I guess it doesn't matter what award they won, but at least everybody got something. So I did think this was going to go to Doechii, but I do think the way that the cards fell with everybody's awards, I think everybody got the right award in the long run. I also have to give a shout out to her for her speech calling out the record labels for not giving fair wages or healthcare. Like, that was such a ballsy move for her to go win her first Grammy and do that. And that's what I love about Chappell. She's not afraid to be so new, or she's not new in her career, but new in this light, and is pushing the boundary and asking these questions and, really pushing the envelope for these record labels or for the government. She was like, I'm not performing at the White House for Pride until there's a ceasefire. Like, she's very firm in where she stands. And we see that even in that interview we talked about a few weeks ago when she got the BBC award. She was like, I'm not taking every opportunity given to me. I'm taking the ones that speak to me and that I really want to do. And I'm just happy to see that she doesn't fluctuate, She doesn't let anybody sway her opinion, her views. She knows who she is. She knows what she stands for. And I just thought it was like a really admirable thing for her to do, especially in that room when there are the biggest of biggest execs in music, obviously the head of the Academy, and everyone in that room on the floor was an artist or somebody who is a producer or related to music in some sense. So they all can relate to what that's going through. So I thought that was a major moment for her, and just like it was just fabulous the way that she did it. I loved it. Next up, we have Song of the Year and Record of the Year, both going to Not Like Us. And I just hope somebody did a wellness check on Drake the next morning, because if a diss track that was written about me won the same amount of Grammys in one night that I have in my entire career, I would need to be on a serious watch. Like, this was crazy to see Kendrick get all of this praise over a diss track. But you know what? I'm not surprised. I said it on my Grammy prediction episode. I was like, obviously I'm rooting for the girls, but Kendrick has had such a crazy year with Not Like Us, and not even including his album. Like, Not Like Us really was such a moment. And then Kendrick dropped his album a few months later. Like, they're two separate eras in his life, I feel like, but the magnitude in which Not Like Us blew up, I knew it was going to win something. And honestly, I kind of lived that Kendrick won these two because it kind of diluted and like broke up the like pop girl tension. It was like, oh my God, it was going to be every Stan war and everyone was going to be going crazy like they already are over album of the year. But if it was like a even deeper, fight with song of the year and record of the year with the pop girl, it would have been hell. So I kind of love the fact that Kendrick won these because it's very well deserved, but it also just like, it made the night more fun for the pop girls. They could just be there, girls being girls supporting each other. And obviously everybody is very into this whole Kendrick vibe because the way every single person in that room was singing Not Like Us when he won was unbelievable. Blue Ivy is standing there singing Not Like Us as he goes to accept his award. Like, it was just fucking incredible. I loved it. He also ended up winning for Best Music Video, Best Rap Song, and Best Rap Performance. So like I said, he got 5 awards total. Just incredible. I think Kendrick is due for an Album of the Year win. I feel like it's some point. Like, he is such a force to be reckoned with in the rap world, and it's got to come sooner or later. I hope it's sooner because he does deserve it. And I am very excited to see him with SZA later this summer. I think it's going to be such a good show. He always puts on a killer show. I've seen him a few times, but very happy to see that Kendrick won this. Also, the fact that he was wearing a Canadian tuxedo, accepting an award for a song that is a diss track to Drake, who is famously from Toronto. Unfucking believable. Like, these are the levels of petty that I want in the music industry. It wasn't directly in your face, but if you know, and if you picked up on it, you picked up on it. As soon as he walked up on the stage in that Canadian tuxedo, I was like, he did not. And sure enough, he did. Obsessed with that. So congratulations, Kendrick. And then the final of the big 4 categories, I need to put my computer down for this, because Beyoncé Giselle Knowles-Carter is officially an Album of the Year winner. When I tell you, I felt my soul leave my body when that firefighter announced Cowboy Carter. It just felt like a moment for everybody. It was like everybody in that room was holding their breath, hoping it was for Beyonce. The reaction in that crowd when they announced Beyonce's name was so unbelievable. Cynthia Erivo jumping up, Taylor Swift jumping up. Everybody was just out of their seats screaming. Lady Gaga was crying. Everybody was just so enthralled with the fact that Beyonce won Album of the Year, and it is about damn time. I don't care who you are, who your favorite artist is, what your opinion is on Beyonce. There is no denying that this is well overdue. This has been a long time coming, and to finally see her get this award, I mean, she's the most nominated and most decorated artist in Grammy history. How does she not have like the big award at the end of the show? It's the one that we all wait for. It just didn't make sense. And the fact that she finally has it under her belt, God, it just feels incredible. And now, not only did she win Album of the Year, she also won the Grammy for Best Country Album, which was presented by no other than Taylor Swift. And seeing their friendship and like the relationship that they have, I think it really is a deeper relationship and love for each other than we know. And I don't want to know more. I don't think we need to know more. That teeters the line of parasocial, but just the way that they admire each other and respect each other. And you can just tell there is that like genuine bond. I mean, think back to 2009 VMAs when Kanye interrupted Taylor's speech and then Beyonce brought her out later to give the speech. Like they've clearly had their history together, and they've always kind of stuck by each other's side despite what crazy people online want to make up and say about the two of them. Like, I really do think they have such a love and respect for each other. And to have Taylor give that award to Beyonce, when Beyonce, I mean, we all saw her reaction. She was not expecting that country album award. And the fact that she won it for this album, it was just so monumental. And then probably the most monumental one for me besides Album of the Year is Best Country Duo, going to Two Most Wanted, Beyonce and Miley Cyrus. And like, I told you guys, if Miley and Beyonce won a Grammy together, I was going to have an out of body experience. And when I tell you I had an out of body experience this entire night, if anybody is new here, Miley Cyrus and Beyonce are two of my favorite artists of all time. I posted a reaction video reacting to Two Most Wanted because I knew it was going to get me. I was crying. I was like overcome with emotion. It was a big deal for me. And the fact that the two of them share a Grammy is so important to me. Like, I kind of feel like they should send the Grammy to me. I think it would look perfect on my shelf over here. Like, I think I should get one. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels so personal to me. And I'm so thrilled. And also Miley with her little like comedic moment with Beyonce later in the show, and announcing record of the year, song of the year. I believe it was song of the year. No, record of the year. Yes, record of the year, because she won for Flowers. Sorry. Yeah, she won for Flowers, and she was like, and the winner is, even if it's not Beyonce, I'm just going to say it's Beyonce. Like, she was clearly gagged just as much as all of us that Beyonce was like doing these wins and was there. And the fact that Miley just won a Grammy with Beyonce, like, I can't even imagine what that feels like. Also, the fact that Miley went from having 0 Grammys to 3 Grammys, one of which being one with Beyonce and one of which being a big 4 Grammy in 2 years is incredible. And I also kind of feel like it's time for Miley to host the Grammys. Everybody's talking about how hilarious she was and how much like charisma she had on stage. And I think she would do a killer job at hosting the Grammys. So maybe next year they should put her down. And not that Trevor Noah didn't do a good job, but I just think maybe it's time to switch it up a bit. You know, Trevor's done this gig for a while now. Let's switch it up. Maybe put some Miley up on stage. I think that would be something everybody would benefit from. And of course now Beyonce wins Album of the Year, and people are pissed because people are closed-minded and don't understand the magnitude of this album. So let me just break this down for you. Not only is Beyonce the most nominated artist of all time and the most decorated artist of all time, she is the first woman to win a Grammy across 5 different genres. And you still want to sit here and say that she didn't deserve Album of the Year or that she doesn't deserve these Grammys. What is not clicking for you? Beyonce consistently reinvents herself every single album, time and time again. She is pushing the boundaries. She is experimenting with new sounds. She's sampling artists that like you have never even heard of because she has such deep-rooted knowledge in music history, and she goes so much deeper than any other artist does. And yes, I'm a Beyonce stan. She is my favorite artist of all time, but like, you got to give her flowers or flowers are due. And now, of course, there's all these people online and they're like, I didn't even listen to the album. I haven't even heard it. How did it win Album of the Year? And to that, I say, maybe it's time for you to step outside of your comfort zone and not only listen to the artist that is in your profile picture on Twitter, and maybe explore some new genres, explore some new artists, because there is a whole world of music out there that you are clearly sheltering yourself from because you think you need to be loyal to one artist or the artists in their circle. And it's just like not a normal way to live. I'm just going to say it. It's not. It's like an echo chamber that you're living in, that you are not allowing yourself to enjoy or listen to other music because you think you need to be so loyal to one or a few specific artists. On that note, if you didn't listen to Cowboy Carter, how do you know it doesn't deserve to win Album of the Year? Riddle me that. And now to the people who did listen to the album and are still saying that it didn't deserve Album of the Year, you were listening to it to have this reaction. You were listening to it with already a premeditated notion in your mind that you weren't going to like it because it wasn't the artist that you stan or that you enjoy. And to those people, they were listening with their ears, not their brain. And it just like, I understand it's, not everybody can compute lyrics or meanings or messages. That's fine. But it takes a simple Google search to look up the reason behind why Beyonce dropped this album and why she featured the artist on this album that she did and how she came about this album becoming a thing, and with Renaissance and Act 3, whenever that's going to come. Like, there is such an easy, simple way for you to understand what she is doing without having to enjoy the music. And people are just so close-minded. And to see the hatred and honestly the racism, we're just going to call it what it is, like to see the way people are so racially charged to not liking this album or thinking Beyonce doesn't deserve Album of the Year, thinking she bought it, thinking it was because Jay-Z did this speech. It is just unbelievable. And it's insane to me. To think that Beyonce doesn't deserve Album of the Year, honestly, every time she's been nominated, this is now her 5th nomination and her first time winning. To think that she didn't deserve it all of those times is already a character flaw. But this time specifically, I'm like, the whole point of this album was to reclaim a genre that was stolen from the Black community and to get the message out there of what this country was all about at one point and like where it was rooted and where she comes from and where country music started and like what it really stood for. And it's been so taken and shaken and mixed around, and now it's got this whole different meaning to it almost with country music. You know, I'm not even going to go down that road, but even looking at like the CMAs not nominating her this year, and now she's winning all the Grammys for Best Country Album and the Album of the Year. Like, it just goes to show where people are skewed and where they don't allow people in. And it just kind of reiterates that feeling she must have had after the CMAs in 2016, 2017, when she performed with the Chicks. And after she left, everybody was up in arms, pissed. Why is Beyonce performing a country song? She's not a country artist. As if she wasn't born in Houston, Texas. I can't. And the final thing I will say is you can be upset that your fave didn't win Album of the Year or didn't get a Grammy this year. That's fine. I have been there. I have watched Beyonce lose Album of the Year 4 times for 4 albums that deserve to win Album of the Year. I get it. But there is no need to go online and be so catty and rude and mean, because at the end of the day, the world is still turning and Beyonce still has the Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter in 2025. So stick that in your juice box and suck it. Wrapping up some of the other awards given out through the night, we had Doechii winning Best Rap Album, making her the 3rd Black woman in history, along with Cardi B and Lauryn Hill, to win this award. Her speech was so heartwarming. You can tell how genuinely shocked and thrilled at the same time she was to be up on that stage. Her speech was so moving. I adore her. I love her. She deserves the world. She is such a talent. And I think we are just witnessing the beginning of somebody so great, and I'm so excited to see where the rest of her career takes her. Sabrina Carpenter had a fabulous night. Best Pop Vocal Album, Best Pop Solo Performance for Espresso. Even her with her speech, like, you could just tell this has been a moment for all of these artists. Chapel, Sabrina, Charlie, Doechii, Beyonce, all of these artists who have been working so hard for so long and finally getting a lot of the recognition that they deserve. It was just such a night to celebrate, and that's how I'm taking it. My takeaway is that this was a night to celebrate women and the fantastic music that they gave us, not just last year, but throughout their entire career, and has gotten them to this moment. Speaking of artists who have given us fantastic music their entire career, Charli XCX winning 3 Grammys this year is unbelievable. She won Best Recording Package, Best Dance and Electronic Album, and Best Dance Pop Recording. You guys know I had a Brat summer, and honestly, it hasn't really stopped since then. Brat is one of my favorite albums that was released last year. It deserved all of the awards. I am thrilled to see Charli finally getting the recognition that she deserves. And again, we'll get into her performance in a minute, but like, she is just shaking the table more than some of these other girls. And we'll get into it in just a moment. And then just to quickly note, and not in a negative way, but just to note, Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift not getting any awards. Now, I say this as somebody who loves Taylor Swift. I'm shocked that Billie didn't get anything, but I'm not as shocked as Tortured Poets Department not winning any Grammys. Now, don't come for me. I love the album, but when you look at the nominees and the nomination package that Taylor presented, the single that she ran with was Fortnite, which I just don't see that as the strongest song on the album. And again, of course it was like the lead single from the album, but it just, to me, I was like, why is that the song we're going with? So that already kind of gave me this weird, like, I don't know, it just gave me a weird feeling about the album. She also didn't add the anthology into the Grammy nominees, like it wasn't part of the nominations. And I think that really bit her in the ass, because I do think a lot of, like, though I prefer the first half of the album, I do think a lot of the, like, the deeper songwriting and like production choices are on the second half of the album. So I was surprised and kind of curious as to why she didn't include the anthology. all of that being said, looking back at Taylor's track record, when she lost the album of the year for Red, when she didn't win anything for Reputation, like you could tell on her face how upset she was. This year, it seemed like she was so content with just being there, celebrating everybody else. And it seems like obviously she's older. She's grown since then. It's been years since Red and Reputation came out, but it just seems like she's in such a good place mentally and like didn't care. She was there to have fun. She was there to cheer on her girls and like see these women win. I mean, the way she shot up for Beyonce, the way she presented Beyonce with that award, obviously Sabrina being there, like there were just so many other things for her to celebrate, let alone obviously Travis going to the Super Bowl, her coming off this giant tour. Like she has so much going on in her life. And I think the fact that she didn't let this ruin her night, to what we know, really shows a test of her character for the fact that like this stuff doesn't bother her anymore. Where a few years ago, she was very Grammy focused. I feel like she's kind of shifted her mindset. And honestly, I love to see it. That is such a healthy way to go into these things. And I feel like we're seeing such a change and an evolution of Taylor once again in her life, because she's always kind of evolving. But it was just something I noticed. Like she was in such good spirits the entire night, even walking out, not winning an album. She was like chatting with fans. She was dancing to Charlie's performance. Like she was just having such a fun night. And I forgot that she didn't win anything because she was in such good spirits. Like that's the way you should be at an award show, whether you win, whether you don't. And somebody else she's getting a lot of pushback online saying that she was crying because she didn't win. But I genuinely think Billie Eilish wasn't crying because she lost the Grammys. I think she was genuinely happy for Beyonce. Everybody in that room was so ecstatic to see Beyonce win Album of the Year. I don't see Billie Eilish, like she doesn't give me the vibe of like being pissed off about something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, this is very parasocial, but like maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. All of that being said, I am more surprised that Hit Me Hard and Soft didn't win anything over the Tortured Poets Department not winning anything. Like, and again, this is no hate. I love Taylor. I love the album, but I think Hit Me Hard and Soft has a lot more layers and production value and depth to it than Tortured Poets Department does. And I'm more shocked, like I said, that Hit Me Hard and Soft didn't win anything than I am for Taylor. But I mean, the two of them have had such sweep of years. Like, remember that one year Billie won everything? Taylor's had years where she's won everything. Like, there's been the Billie Eilish and the Taylor Swift Grammy years. I think this was like a perfect year for everybody else to have their moment and to really shine. And yeah, I think it's fine. Like, I think Taylor left there being like, you know what? We'll get him next time. It is what it is. She has so many awards. Like, she's good to go. But I do need to bring up really quick the fact that she was wearing a T on her thigh. That was crazy. Again, it just goes to show she's in this new era where she is just like doing what she wants. She's so happy. Her and Travis must be in such a good place from what they're showing us and what it seems. And like, she's like, you know what? I'm getting ready to go root for my man in his second or third Super Bowl in 3 years. I'm good. I'm okay. Like, I hit billionaire status last year. I don't need another trophy on my shelf. She probably doesn't even have any room. She's good to go. But that little T on her thigh, I was gagged. And coming out to So High School, like that was So High School being the song you walked out at the Grammys to, that was planned. The Grammys did not pick that song for her to walk out to. That was on purpose. Wearing the Chiefs red was on purpose. Wearing the T on her thigh, she knows what she is doing. And she was like, this is me winning. I've already won. You can have the trophies. I'm good. And I love that mindset. And then the final thing really quick, just about award things. Casey Musgraves was getting some slack because she made a face when Beyonce was winning Album of the Year. And she made a statement today saying it's a sensationalistic false narrative meant to pit two talented female artists against each other. There was simply no scowl or expression made. I love Casey, and I'm thrilled that she won an award this year, but there was definitely a face made. And there was definitely the TMZ moment after where she was leaving the Grammys. And they're like, how do you feel for Beyonce winning the album? And she just gave a thumbs up, or for country album, excuse me. And she just like gives a thumbs up, doesn't say anything. It's okay to be bitter though. Like, I think this statement, like, I don't think she's wrong for being upset for losing. However, I do think, if you're going to release a statement about it, just own it. Yeah, I wanted to win. I'm going to the Grammys to win an award. That's what everybody's there for. It's okay to be upset. I do think this statement, her trying to be like, there was no face, there was no scowl. Well, girl, you're on candid camera. And there's replay value. Like, we can see that you're upset. And it's okay. Just own it. And I think that's where I felt a little like come on, like just at like you have an album of the year. I think she has 8 Grammys now. She won for The Architect this year, like literally the same night. So to see that, to see her upset, I wasn't so bothered by. To see her release this statement and try to be like, I wasn't upset. There was no look. You can go watch it. You can see that you're upset. It's okay, sis. We get it. You wanted to win too. Who doesn't? That's the point of going to the Grammys. And the other point of going to the Grammys are the performances. And my God, were these performances unbelievable. So we're going to go through them all really quick. Not all of them, but just the pop girls. I mean, let's be real. Kicking it off with my favorite performance of the entire night, Doechii. Holy shit. This performance was unbelievable. The looks, the choreo, her breath control, the fact that she was doing all of that while still rapping on beat, didn't miss a beat, didn't miss a breath. She was unbelievable. Then having Issa Rae come out, like it was just perfection. The response from the crowd was unreal. SZA, Billy, everybody up out of their seat, Jay-Z cheering, like everybody going nuts because it really was a next level performance. And for that to be her first performance at the Grammys ever, while she's there nominated as Best New Artist, while she's there, she had already won the Grammy as the Best Rap Album, being the 3rd Black woman in history to win it. Like she was already having a killer night. And to pull out that performance during your first Grammy Award show ever, she has just leveled herself up in everybody's eyes to such a different level. And I keep saying it, I'm so excited to see where the rest of Doechii's career goes because it can only go up from here. Like she is everything. This performance was unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable performances, Sabrina Carpenter, the physical comedy that this girl has in her 4'11" body is truly unmatched. She is hilarious. From the second it started with the spotlight not hitting her, to the Goldie Hawn reference going down the stairs, to throwing the baton, like the reveal not going, and the singer singing somebody's getting fired. Like every single second of that performance was so comedically perfect. It was just so well done. And again, we are so lucky to be alive at the same time as Sabrina Carpenter. Like, she's not afraid to laugh at herself, and that's why she's so good at being a pop star. She's in on the joke. She makes jokes out of, like, herself. Like, she's so good at not taking herself too seriously, and that's what's going to give her a long-lasting career. And it's already long-lasting. She's been going for years, but, like, she's really getting ramped up now, you know? But it's just, this performance was phenomenal. Also, tap dancing in heels. Like, I was like, girl, where is that talent been? We didn't know you could do that. Next up, Charli XCX, another unbelievable performance. Seeing Charli on the Grammy stage bring party culture and like full on raving and partying on the Grammy stage is what we need in this year. Like, people need to stop taking themselves so seriously. People need to remember, like, it's okay to go out and dance. It's okay to go make out with a stranger and like have fun. Like, she is just reminding all of us that, like, go have fun, go out, go party, go dance with a stranger, go be a party girl. Like, it is okay to have fun and not take yourself so seriously. And it was just perfect from start to finish. I mean, even all the special guests tying into like the Bratosphere, as I've been calling it for the last year or so. We had Gabriette, Alex Consani, Quen Blackwell, The Dare, Richie Shazam, Julia Fox. Like, it was just so well done. It was perfect. I loved it. The underwear being thrown up behind them, like, it was so good and just like a perfect way to celebrate the year that she has had. Like I keep saying, this night was just a celebration all around. Nobody was like upset. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was bitter because everybody just knew they had a benchmark crazy year last year. And it just felt like a big celebration. Next up, Chappell Roan. I mean, come on. Performing Pink Pony Club on the Grammy stage with the clowns behind you when her whole aesthetic is the clown thing because people made fun of her. Like, she has said time and time again that, like, the reason she does the white face sometimes is because people will call queer people clowns. Like, people in her high school would be like, oh, gay people are clowns. So she ran with that aesthetic, and now everybody behind her at the Grammys is dressed as a clown. Also, Cam, who is an Eras Tour backup dancer, was performing with her. Like, it was just such a moment. She's never sounded better. Also, like, her vocals on the Grammy stage were unbelievable. I thought the little choreography she added in was so cute. I loved it. It told a story. It was such a killer way for her to like make her mark on the Grammy stage. It was fabulous. Gaga and Bruno, we talked about it a little bit. I was so surprised that like they didn't sing Die With a Smile because like I thought they would at least do like a mashup, but we got California Dreamin'. And again, it was a beautiful way to pay tribute to LA. And like, I totally get it, but I was surprised that they didn't even do any of Die With a Smile. Like I was like waiting for it to kind of switch and it just didn't, but sounded great, looked great. Gaga can do no wrong on my eyes right now. I don't care what she does. She is just on top of the world to me, and I'm eating up every single second of it. Another person I ate up every single second of, Shakira. Shakira is 48 years old, and she can still move better than some of us 20, 30-somethings. She was killing it on that stage. She looked unreal. She sounded unreal. She was moving. Like, her hips have never told the truth. Her hips have been lying since the early 2000s, and they have no plans of stopping. Like, she was truly killing it. And I just feel like she's going to have a huge year. She's already upgraded her tour from arenas to stadiums. Like, she just had this whole moment at the Grammys. Like, I just feel like Shakira is really gearing up to just like have a fun, exciting year touring. And this performance was great. I thought it was so much fun. Everybody in the crowd was living for it. Beyonce, Taylor, everybody was gagged. She killed it. I thought the tribute to Quincy Jones was really well done. It was a little long. I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit long, but it was really well done. I mean, Cynthia Erivo, she is not a human being. That voice is crazy. Janelle Monáe killed it. Oh my God, unbelievable. It was just such a beautiful tribute and thought everybody did a fabulous job. Billie Eilish thought she sounded great. Was it the most exciting performance ever? No, but I wasn't expecting Birds of a Feather to be an exciting performance. Like, the backdrop was really cool. I thought the visuals were great. Her and Phineas sounded great. Nothing to go home about, but it was a very good performance. And then the final performance was one that nobody could have expected. And they even said, like, we never thought in our life we would be saying this sentence, but The Weeknd, I am so thrilled to see that The Weeknd and the Grammys have worked it out on the remix. If you don't remember, I mean, they talked about it on the show, but in 2020, he had that whole, I'm going to call it a meltdown, but like I say it in an endearing way, that whole moment where he was like, I'm done with the Grammys. Like, you guys aren't like giving the awards to the right people. And like, we've seen this repetitive behavior with them, unfortunately. And he, stood his ground. He wasn't going back. And then they had this big surprise performance coming up. Nobody knew who it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Beyonce, but it was The Weeknd, and it was a great performance. He did such a good job. I thought it also just made so much sense. His album just came out on Friday. Like, it was a perfect timing for him. And it really just was like, you know what? Like, if for The Weeknd to go back on the Grammy stage, it clearly means that like they must have changed something in their voting system. They must have at least like had a really long conversation with him about why he should come back. And I think it's like a turning point for the Grammys. And it felt like that. This year's Grammys was so just a different feeling. I don't know what it was. It just felt good. It was a great year for music, great performances. Everybody got a little bit of something. It was just a standout year for the Grammys, and I loved it. It couldn't have gone any better in my eyes. I am thrilled to say that Beyonce is an Album of the Year recipient. Like, it's a world that I want to live in. And that is the Grammys. I thought it was seriously a fabulous show. I was so excited to come on and record for you guys because I was like, I have no notes. It was such a good show. It was so good. Moving on to our second to last segment of the week, we have our TV recap, kicking it off with The Traitors. Killing Bob Harper felt very personal to me, and I will never forgive the Traitors for killing him. That hurt. I loved Bob H., especially after last week when he almost had a heart attack walking up that hill. You're going to kill him? Or what was that, 2 weeks ago? Regardless, you're going to kill him now? What harm was Bob Harper to you? What harm was he doing to the Traitors? He wasn't on to any of you. He was there to like give a fun little gay look, do his thing, and like go eat breakfast. Like I was hurt. I was really hurt. I was upset that Bob Harper was murdered, but it's a game. I get it. I got over it pretty quick. Something I will not get over is the way that these Traitors are playing such a terrible game. They are playing this game just awful. It is terrible. None of them are working together. They're all going behind each other's back. There's no strategy. They are falling apart in front of our eyes. All of them. It is an absolute mess. I don't get it. It's so frustrating. I'm like, you guys are supposed to be working together to get people to turn on each other, and all you're doing is make people turn on yourselves. Danielle floating Carolyn's name around, and then everybody telling Carolyn it was Danielle, and then Boston Rob throwing Bob the drag queen under the bus, and then Danielle voting for Boston Rob at the round table, and Carolyn calling out Danielle at the round table. Like, they are turning on each other, and you're supposed to be turning the faithfuls on each other. They're just playing, they're too strategic, and that's the problem. Like, having a group of traitors that are all game players, especially to the caliber that Carolyn, Danielle, and Boston Rob are, they need to throw somebody else in the mix, because it's becoming a point of like, all of them just want to win alone. There's no winning as the traitors with these three. They want to win as an individual, and that is it. And that's not how the game works. You know, the traitors work as a unit, the faithfuls work as a unit, and you have to work with your team and make it work. Like, it's not a hard concept, and watching them all turn on each other, it's driving me nuts. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm loving the season. It's very entertaining. Like, I'm still loving it. I'm still on board, but I'm just like, what is going on? I did think that Derek and Wes were going to get Boston Rob out. Like, they were really, I was gunning for them. Like, I was like, they got it. Everyone's going to believe them. And then Boston Rob manipulates everybody into believing it was Wes and the whole thing. And then it just like, Wes got too defensive, saying, if you vote for me, I've got my eye on you. Like, it just put a target on his back that wasn't even there before. Like, he just made it a bigger thing than it needed to be. He could have just like continued on this campaign for Boston Rob, not gotten so heated. But I'm not familiar with Wes before the show, but my friend I was watching with is, and I've seen a lot on Twitter of just like how he is on game shows. Like, he's very competitive. He's literally from the challenge. So like, he has that mindset of like defense mechanism, I guess, which it makes sense in certain retrospects. When you're sitting at the round table, that's not the time to do that. You know, like, that's not the time. I don't know. I do think Boston Rob will be gone soon. I think people are finally going to start catching on to him. I don't know who they're going to murder this episode. Like, I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I do think two things. One, they need to recruit somebody soon, because these traitors are crazy. And two, one of the traitors has got to go soon. Like, one of the traitors has to go. They have to bring somebody new in, and that they just need to change that dynamic, because it's going nowhere right now. And I'm like, you got to figure this shit out, because they're not traitoring the way they need to be traitoring. Moving on to the second show we're recapping this week is Drag Race, and we are chatting RDR live. It is a new day in the workroom, and the girls are getting silly this week. So like I said, RDR live. Never forget last year, Plasma's incredible Barbra Streisand impersonation. I will never forget it. It was fabulous. But we see the girls. They are sketch comedy queens this week. SNL vibes, you know. RDR, SNL, you guys get it. So we see Lydia fighting for this role of Gert against Hormona, and it's a Golden Girls inspired role. And she gets the role. Hormona does whatever. She's like, all right, take it, it's fine. Come to find out that Lydia's never watched the Golden Girls and doesn't understand the reference or the characterization of this role. And I just think that was a bold thing to do, to take this role and fight for it. Not just like be like, oh yeah, I'll take it, I want to do it. You put up a fight for it. And you didn't even know the reference for it, which is fine. Like, if you think you can do it, great, do it. That's fine. But I was just like, I don't know. It threw me off. It was bold, but it is what it is. Somebody else who was very bold this week in the best way possible is Anya Nerve. She killed it in her sketch. She killed it as the host. She is one to watch. I am obsessed with her. She is such a star, and I think she is going so far. Like I said last week, she is in my fantasy top 4. I do see her going all the way to the end. She's just proven herself to have this star quality every episode over and over, and I am just falling more in love with her every single week. I'm obsessed with her. Somebody else I am so obsessed with is Susie Toot, another one I see in my top 4. She was phenomenal in the Weekend Update sketch. And also just like that role was hilarious. Like, having RuPaul's nanny being the inspiration for the entire show. She played the role perfectly. She looked the part perfectly. Like, it was hilarious. I loved her. She was such a standout for me. And spoiler alert, she did end up winning the week. So it was very well deserved. So I was thrilled to see that. And then we get to the runway, and the theme is Tickled Pink. But before we get into the runway, I just need to give a shout out to our extra special guest judge this week, Paul Paul W. Downs, he's probably one of my top 5 gay adjacent straight people. Like, he's fully married to a woman, has a wife, but he is just like with the shit, you know? Like, he's an ally. He's fun to look at. Like, he's very handsome, and like he's consistently funny. Broad City, Hacks, I love him. He is a king. And I was thrilled to see him as a guest judge on this show. It was fabulous. And I typically wouldn't love to see a straight man as a guest judge on RuPaul's Drag Race, but when it's Paul W. Downs, I'm down with it. Moving on to the runway, it was tickled pink, as I said, and first things first was my shining star, Anya Nerve. I absolutely loved this look. I thought it was really, really cool, but I do think the high pony that she wore in her Instagram photos off of the show, like when she did her actual shoot for it, I wish she would have worn that hair on the runway because it really would have sold it even more. But I love this look regardless. I thought it was fabulous. I thought it was just really cool and something we haven't seen her do yet. This like streetwear vibe. Really, really like this look. Next up, we had Corey King, and where Anya was doing something that we haven't seen before from her, Corey is doing the same thing we have seen from her every single week. She looked cute. She looked good. I love her in blonde hair. I thought the pink was so cute. The whole Barbie fantasy, I get it. I think the look is really cute, but it's been the same type of dress every single week. And like, that's fine if that's what you like to wear, but like, you gotta switch it up a bit, you know? Like, you gotta give us a little bit something different. So I'm hoping she starts to change it up soon because I really do like her. I think she's really funny. I think she brings fun confessionals and she's gorgeous. Like, she's good at drag. I just want to see a little bit something different on the runway from her. Next up, Arietti, somebody who has done something different every single week and I cannot get enough of. She does drag to a really dope level. And I loved this look. She gives us something really sick every single week. And I've just been loving watching her runways every single week. She's killing it in that sense. Next up, we had Lana Gervais. This was gorgeous. I loved that shade of pink on her. I thought she looked so cute. So like baby doll, little Bo Peep. This was gorgeous. I really, really like this look. I thought it was fabulous. Next up, Hormona. Similar to Corey King, we're seeing the exact same type of dress with her every single week in just a different color or a different, embellishment on it, and they don't look bad. Like, they don't look bad by all means, but I just want to see something different. Like, this looked just like her goldfish dress, like it was that same silhouette, same cut, same everything, and I was just like, we've seen this 3 or 4 times from now on the runway. There's only been 4 or 5 episodes. You got to switch it up at some point, but she did look gorgeous, so I'll give her that. Next up, we had Sam Starr. I loved this. It was super fun, very Vegas showgirl. It was good. It was really, really good. I think Sam consistently gives us really good drag and she knows who she is. She knows how to dress herself. And for that, I'll applaud her every week. Somebody else who I applaud every single week, Jules Stars. This look was sick. She looked gorgeous. I thought the hip cutouts were so fun, so flirty. The hat, the bell bottoms, everything about this look was just perfectly done. It was so much fun. I absolutely loved it. And I've been loving her this whole season. This was a knockout week for her on the runway. Next up, we had Crystal. The theatrics of this were so much fun. Popping the bubble, having the gum all over you. This was really cool. I loved the way it moved on the runway. Like, it had this cool movement to it. It was just, it was so good and something different that we haven't seen from her yet. So it was like a fun kind of campy side that I think it was time for her to kind of show us that. And I'm glad that she's giving us little diversity in her runways. She is killing it. Lexi Love, somebody else who was killing it. This looked like she murdered the Lisa Frank pink leopard and skinned it and put it on her body. I was obsessed. She is one to watch, like I've been saying. She's just so fun. She has her own style. She knows who she is. She knows her drag. She is fabulous. Next up, we had Susie Toot. She is so good. She is just so good. She's unique. She's fun. She knows her fashion references. She knows what she's doing. She's giving us a bag of tricks that is so big. She's doing something different every single week in the challenges on the runway. She is one to watch. I'm turning into a Susie Toot stan. Did not think that was coming for me this season, but she's knocking it out of the park. Next up, we had Lydia, and she was quite literally a penis. She was a dick walking down RuPaul's Drag Race's season 17 runway. And you know what? Work. Did I love it? No, but she's got balls, quite literally, to walk down the runway, literally dressed as a shaft. And you know what? Work, I guess. And finally, we had Acacia Forgot. This was terrible. This was awful. I hated this look. Didn't think it looked good in any retrospect. And I'm over Acacia Forgot. I wish I could forget. That being said, I would say my top four this week, my favorite looks at least, were Arietti, Jules, Lexi, and Sam, and Acacia was my least favorite. We come to find out the winner was Susie Toot, which totally deserved. She killed it in the challenge. She killed it on the runway. This was Susie's week. It's also her second win, which is very exciting. She's the first queen to win 2 challenges this season, so good for you, Susie Toot. And the bottom 2 were Lydia and Arietti, which I can see, I agree with. They definitely weren't the strongest in the challenge, and it made sense. The song of the week for the lip sync was Boogie Wonderland by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Lydia Butthole Collins, I was unfamiliar with your lip syncing game. She killed this lip sync. I was not expecting it. I was fully ready for Arietti to turn the fuck out of this lip sync, and Lydia tore that stage up. I was so impressed. I was truly floored by Lydia's performance on that runway. She was lip syncing for her life and absolutely deserved that win. I was gagged. I was so floored by that performance. Not what I expected at all, but I was pleasantly surprised. But that does mean that Arietti was the bottom queen and she was eliminated. But of course, not before she has a chance at the Badunkadunk tank and giving Michelle Visage a little swim. And what do you know? She pulls lever number 1 and Michelle goes swimming, which thus proves that Hormona's was not rigged and the winning levers were 1 and 7. So we have no queens going home this week, which I am very happy to see Arietti staying another week because I think she has a lot more to show. I think this was just like not a good week for her. But that being said, the Badunkadunk tank is finally gone. Thank God we can knock that off our list and now just have girls going home every single week and get back into a regular routine, which is, that's the name of the game. Girls are going to go home. It's going to happen. However, I am happy to see that Arietti got this last save and was able to save herself this one last time. Next week's episode, however, looks crazy. Lexi's outfit getting ruined is nuts, so we will see what happens with that. Also, La Roche is back, which obviously is always exciting, so very thrilled to see what is in store for next week. The season is really picking up. I'm really loving it. So we will obviously continue to recap this season as the weeks go on. And with that, we have made it to our final segment of the show, our yes and our mess of the week. My yes being something I am loving and my mess being something I am not loving. This week, my yes, not to be horny on the podcast, but did everybody else see that Dylan O'Brien gay sex scene going around Twitter? Because I saw it a few too many times by my own doing and just replaying it over and over. It is from some new movie he's in called Twinless. Not sure when it's coming out. It was like a Sundance thing. But my God, was that scene just the cherry on top of a shitty January? I was like, I've been waiting for a moment like this. I feel like my whole life, as somebody who has been, thirsting over Dylan O'Brien, as many gay men do. I've been waiting for this, and it was fabulous to see. I'm not gonna lie, I was thrilled. And again, I hate to be horny on the podcast, but sometimes you gotta be, and I gotta give it up and give credit where credit is due because that scene was chef's kiss, fabulous. And my mess this week, something that was not fabulous, Kanye West. And I will say, I think this is the first time I have the same mess twice on this show. I'm pretty sure Kanye has been my mess at some point in the past, the future. He'll probably be one in the future too, but has been my mess at one point in the past. And this week is because for 2 reasons. First, he decides to post on Instagram that he is following only one person, and that person is Taylor Swift. And I just don't understand when he's going to leave her the fuck alone. Like, when is enough going to be enough? And when is Kanye just going to let Taylor Swift live her life and get the fuck away from her? I don't understand what the obsession is and why he will not stop harassing her. It is getting insane, and I just don't get it. But it does not stop there, because then he decides to show up to the Grammys with his wife, fiance, Bianca, whatever the hell her name is, Kim Kardashian 2.0, and she is fully naked, and he is just standing there acting like it's normal. They were later escorted out, which originally it was reported that they weren't invited to the Grammys, but that was debunked. So I don't think that they were not invited and they showed up uninvited. I just think it was the fact that his wife or fiance, whatever, was naked on the red carpet, which is insane. Like, huh? I am all for people pushing the limits. I am all for people, pushing a boundary and trying to make a crazy fashion moment. But you are naked on the Grammys red carpet. Did you think that was going to go well? Did you think you were going to go inside and sit in a chair and enjoy the show the entire time with your titties out? I just don't get it. And Kanye was definitely the one to co-sign it and to tell her to do it. Like, he's the mastermind, not even mastermind, the crazy person behind all of this. So he just needs to leave Taylor Swift alone. And someone needs to do like a mental health check on the guy. Like, something is seriously wrong with him. And like, it's always been kind of scary, but like, it's getting crazy. Like, I don't know what he's capable of. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. Like I said, if you liked what you heard and you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star rating, subscribe to the show. It really helps the show so much. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, drop a comment down below. Let's get the conversation going. Let's chit chat. What are your thoughts on the Grammys? Who do you think was snubbed? Who do you think deserved to win? Let's chat about it. If this hour-plus long podcast was not enough and you want some more moments from the week that were just too pop to handle, head over to my Substack, toopoptohandle.substack.com, for some extra pop culture tidbits between each episode. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, we are at toopoptohandle across all platforms. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye!